Bueno, well, tell me about you. How do you define yourself? Actually,
How do I define myself? I think I am ambitious. I like to learn. I love adventure. If the two can go together, that's even better. And I like helping other people reach their potential.
let me about your dreams.
I want to live, my dream is to live a happy and full life, full of adventure and new experiences. So I don't know what that looks like. I just know it's going from one experience to the next one.
Looking forward whatever is going to happen.
Yeah.
What do you remember of your childhood? Do you have a first memory when you were a child?
I had a good childhood. I have two brothers. So we grew up in the house together, and back then nobody was inside playing video games. We were outside running the neighborhood on our bikes. I grew up in New Orleans, so there was lots of culture and music and art, all that. I mean, it was so much fun growing up there.
What do you remember of your parents?
My dad worked a lot. He's never worked for anyone else. He's always owned his own business. So I think that's where I get the entrepreneurship from. I've never seen him work for anyone else. So, and my mom, she only worked for a little while. Most of the time she was in the home. So she would make our breakfast before school. She would make our lunches for school. And then when we got home, she would make dinner. That's all she was always a mom. So she was always at home.
Do you think that you are following their examples in some way?
Yeah, some ways. Definitely with my dad. He's very driven and ambitious and loves entrepreneurship, and so do I. And with my mom, she's a great mom and she's very creative. So I think that's where I get some of that. I'm a visionary, so I see the big picture, and like if there's nothing there, I can see something there. And so I think I get that from both of them in different ways. So mom is more creative with like sewing and fashion, and my dad is very creative in business. So if a business is failing, he can say, I think we can do these 3 things and bring this back. So he just has a different way to be creative.
Did you know your grandparents?
On my dad's side, my grandfather died when I was very young, but I remember him. I only have one memory of him, and he just loved me. He just loved on me. So that's my only memory. And then my dad's mom, she passed away when I was a little bit older, and she was funny. She would tell me stories about childhood, and she didn't have the best relationship with my grandfather. It was very hard for her, and so she gave me a lot of lessons, you know. And then my mom's mom died when my mom was 7, so I never got to meet her. She died in her 30s. She was my age when she died. She was 31 or 32.
Wow.
So exactly where me and Riley are now, that's when she passed away. But my granddad on my mom's side is still around, and he lives in Miami. And so when I go down there, I go and sit with him and talk, or sit on the porch, or we'll go out to dinner, you know, things like that.
Where did you were born, and where did you were raised?
I was born in Miami, and then my parents moved to New Orleans. So I grew up there until I was 13. Then from 13, I moved to Chattanooga. And I've been here.
What do you remember of New Orleans when you were a child?
That was where my really good friends, some of them still live there in New Orleans. It was different because my skin is a lot darker than, my friends and their parents. A lot of the people there are very fair skinned. And so it made for an interesting childhood. Like I was...
In what way?
I was picked on a lot because I was darker than everyone else, and my lips are fuller, my nose is different, everything is different. And so it's not that I wasn't unhappy because I had some good friends, but there were moments where it was tough.
It was easier when you moved to Chattanooga?
Yes and no, because I was committed to being myself, but I went to an all-girls prep school that was predominantly white, so I was only one of 4 black girls in my grade, and so I was the minority. So that was different. That was a different set of challenges than being with a lot of black kids and just being dark-skinned to not being around very many black kids. And it's just different. It was just different, so it was an interesting experience. I didn't like Chattanooga when I first moved here, and then it grew on me. I left, came back, and it still, when I got back, it wasn't the best city, wasn't very progressive, nothing was happening. In the last 3 to 5 years, it's changed a lot. So it's gotten to be a better place to live, but I'm right at the point where I want more.
Yeah. I can imagine that this experience of life, moving from New Orleans to Chattanooga, or even, as you say, feeling in some way different, made you a special person.
Yeah, because I think I've always, because I know what it's like to kind of be on the outside and to be different and to be picked on or to be the less desired one, I can see in my surroundings, I can pick out that person that's going through that.
Even if they are not saying anything.
Even if they're not saying anything, I can pick up on it, and I'm drawn to that person. I remember in school, there was always, in school, there's always one person that nobody wants to talk to and nobody wants to touch because they think they're gross or they think they're dumb or whatever. But always that person would stand out to me, not because of what everyone else was saying, but as I thought, if I were that person, well, I wonder how they feel. So I would usually be the only one that would go to this person that people thought was gross, or, like, we would never talk to that boy. So one day there was one, and I think I was in 7th grade or 8th grade, and I saw him, and I just went and talked to him. And at first he thought, oh, she's only over here to make fun of me. But when he realized I wasn't, I realized that he was just as much a human, and he had feelings too. Okay, so maybe his shirts weren't as clean as ours, but he had things going on at home that we didn't know. So when he got to school, the reason why he was acting up is because of what was going on at home.
Exactly.
And we didn't know.
Exactly.
And so I learned very early to have empathy for people, especially have a heart for people on what someone would say is the margins. On the outside, I love it. So I had a conversation last week on a Friday. This is one of my favorite songs.
Which one?
This song that's on. Now I can't think of the name of it. It's by a band called the White Stripes. But Take Me Home. Take Me Home. I think. Yeah. So I had a conversation last week with Dr. Banks, and he was like, "So what's going on?" I said, "You know what? I like where my life is right now because the last time I had a very long and deep conversation about religion, it was with someone who is Muslim. The last time I had deep belly laughs was with someone who's a lesbian. The last time I had a very tight hug and just a tight squeeze was from someone who's a heroin addict. Now these are people who would normally be pushed out on the margins. As a believer and a Christian, I feel like that's what it needs to look like around me. I need to have people around me who aren't the ones that are the, in the mainstream, and he just kind of nodded, and I get frustrated, especially here, where people are like, I'm a Christian and I read the Bible, but you only around other Christians.
Like you, yeah.
You're only around people who like you. Who else are you loving? Yes. So who else are you loving? Who else is getting the love? If you have all this Christ and this love, who are you sharing that with? And so that's what I told Dr. Banks, is that I think I had a season where I was only around Christians. And when you're still learning some of the principles, that's okay. But then once you have the foundation, you need to go out. And it's not like I was around these people so that I can tell them about Jesus. I just want to love them. I just want to love them and just...
No matter what they believe.
Nothing.
Alexis, have you ever talked to your son, to your sister, or to your daughter, to Boom, about these questions?
Yeah. She loves well too. She's very sensitive. She has an intuition about if someone is sad. She can pick up on it. She looks at people in their eyes. And so one day we were around some guys, and we walked outside, and she looked at me and she said, "He looks so sad. His eyes look so sad." I'm like, "Well, do you want to go give him a hug?" And she said, "Oh yeah, I'll go give him a hug." And so we talk about it a lot. We talk about everything.
Yes.
A lot.
Alexis, let me know about your background as an entrepreneur, as a professional. You wrote a book.
Yeah. So I feel like professionally, I'm just getting started. I've done a lot of different things, like waiting tables, and I worked for my dad, just kind of bounced around. It wasn't until I had Boom and then went to school that I started getting serious, but then it was still start and stop. And so I really think that now I'm finding a little bit about what I'm passionate about. So I help people get from, if they have an idea and it's on a sheet of loose leaf, I help them get from a piece of paper to launching a business. And there are people right now, I can see their trucks around town that I've helped get their businesses started. And it's not about, a pat on my back. I don't care. As long as they're not the same person they were when they first came to me, as long as when they leave, they're not the same person, I'm okay with that.
Yes. You are helping a lot of women, not only with your work. I'm also talking about your book.
Yeah.
Why are you so interested in helping women to get their goals and take their challenge?
Because I think women undervalue themselves more than men. Men already know. Even if they don't know, they'll act like they know. Women, we tend to sell ourselves short. We sell our value short. So we don't, go for the big jobs or go, we don't feel like we're worth it, and we are worth it. And so I think, even through my struggles, when I have opportunities where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, doing it anyway, I hope that example gets another woman to say, I was afraid of doing whatever it is, but I saw Alexis go after something that she didn't think she could do, and she did it, and that's good enough for me.
What did you say to the Alexis kid that you were now that you are an adult?
What would I say to her?
If you had the chance, imagine that you can go back in a time machine.
Yeah.
And you can meet her face to face as your daughter now.
Yeah.
What did you say? What did you tell her?
I would tell her that she is enough. That she's enough. That whatever she has inside of her, whatever dreams, if it's going to the Olympics, if it's starting a lemonade stand, whatever it is, I would tell her that she's enough and she's capable and beautiful.
You told me about your dreams. Tell me about your fears.
My fear, one of my fears for a long time, and I'm still working through, is fear of success, of actually following through on my dreams and they work. I'm working through that one better. I'm working through it. And then the other one is that I don't live my life as full. I don't maximize all the potential that I have in me. That's one of my fears.
Do you think that should be the same if you were a man?
I don't know. I would say that having another little set of eyes looking at me makes me push through the fear a lot more. But I can't imagine what I would be without being a mom.
Do you feel, you said about Chattanooga, you talk about being a citizen of a city like this. What do you feel about being an American?
That, I think I kind of take it for granted. So one of my friends is, my Turkish friend, he's like, do you realize what's going on in the rest of the world? He's like, even in my country, it's not like there's freedom to do whatever you want. Here, the world is at your fingertips. To be an American, you are a step ahead of anyone else in the world. And so you don't realize that as an American until someone, when he got here in 2010, he couldn't speak any English. And so he brought up a very great point, because I said, well, if I come to Florida, I don't know if I'll be able to find a job. And he said, Alexis, I came to Florida and I only knew yes and no in English. And I had a job in 2 weeks. You mean to tell me with a degree in English and work experience, you can't get a job if you move down here? I thought, okay, well, when you put it like that. So that was one of the conversations where I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm being a little spoiled.
It's a question of perspective.
Yes.
For everything.
Yeah.
Let's try to imagine how you will be when you are 50. What could you like?
Yeah.
Let's dream.
At 50, if I'm working, I want to work because I want to, not because I have to. I still want to be traveling.
What kind of job do you imagine when 50?
Writing. Yeah, probably writing. Or doing some kind of consulting.
Helping people.
Yeah, helping people for sure.
Anyway.
Yeah, anywhere. So,
and traveling.
Yes, traveling. I don't see myself in America at 50. Maybe living somewhere else, south of France, Italy. I don't know.
Spain.
At least for 6 months out the year, you know, that'd be great.
You dream with writing as well. Why?
Because writing
What is writing for you?
It's almost like a therapy. And so I think when you write, especially when you write books, even if something happens to me, my writing will still remain. It's like writing history or a legacy. I think that's why writing is so important for me. It's because I leave something behind. My journals and all this, Riley can read when I'm gone. She can read and see kind of what was, yeah. She might see something and be like, what was that? But
just 2 more questions. Do you have the best moment in your life? Maybe not. Or maybe just you need to pick up one of some.
I think there were 2. One, when Riley was born. The other was when I did Ironman and I finished the swim. That was probably the best. And anytime I make a decision, or if I have a moment where I think, oh, maybe I can't, I think about that day, because when I signed up for the race, I didn't know how to swim, and
wow,
it just,
that's amazing.
By the time I finished, and all these people were cheering my name, and I thought, how do they even know who I am? And people stop me still. Are you the girl that? And so
you were in the news.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
And the worst moment, maybe, or some tough moment,
Yeah.
or something that gave you a learning.
Yeah. I'd say there was a season of about 10 years when I was in a very abusive relationship. So, off and on for 10 years. And I would say that was a very dark, a lot happened in that 10 years. It was a very dark time for me. It was pretty much all of my 20s, So I'm 32, so 1/3 of my life was very abusive. It was very bad. And so I'd say that was the worst.
So now in your 30s, you are living a kind of renaissance at any way?
I'm having a good time being in my 30s. I'm just now getting traction as a professional and in my career. I like my new curves,
Yes.
Before I would have been like, oh, I'm fat, or oh, I need to be skinny, and now I'm like,
beautiful.
I like it. Every season.
Exactly.
Yeah. Every season my body is in, I love it.
It's
and
the
so
best.
you think you get to fall in love over and over and over and over again with yourself.
So from now on, in this moment, what is the learning of your life?
I think right now, what's fresh in my mind is to live adventurously. So it's not without fear. I don't think we ever don't have fear. I think we need to move in spite of fear. So even if I feel afraid, just keep going. So a sense of adventure and just thinking and being present. So what do I want to experience right now? And what do I need to do to be able to do that, to have that experience?
Thank you.
You're welcome.